Hello friends, welcome to my channel. This is Charan. In this video tutorial, I will explain how to populate data into a Bootstrap drop-down list control in ASP.NET Core Blazor application. And here we got the final output of our project. That is the Bootstrap DDL. Let's click that one. So here we got the select country, the drop-down list, Bootstrap drop-down list. Inside this drop-down list, we have binded, populate the data, India, USA, Australia, the country names from the SQL Server Management Studio table, the country table in this Bootstrap.
If you are a first-time visitor to my channel, please subscribe to get the latest updates.
Before creating a new Blazor application, first we'll check the table in SQL Server Management Studio. The table name is a country which contains two columns, CID and CNAME. And this country table I have created in this Charan database. If you check in this country table, contains two columns, CID and CNAME. Now my aim is I want to bind this CNAME column, the country names column, into a Bootstrap drop-down list element. So let's create a new application in Blazor. This video tutorial, I am creating a new Blazor application. Go to File, New, Project, and I am selecting Blazor app. Click Next. Let's give the project name is Bootstrap Dropdown List Blazor, and I want to save this project in the core-blazor folder, which is in the D drive. Then click Create. After that, select the template Blazor Server app, then click Create. And here the project is created successfully. Let me close this default window. Now first, before writing the coding part, we'll run this application, how it looks the designing part, the basic default output of our Blazor application. And here we got the default output of our Blazor app, which contains the side panel. We got the navigation links. At the top we got some layout, and below that is a razor component. Now my aim is, first I will create one new navigation links. When user clicks that navigation link, it will open one new razor component. On that razor component, I will add one Bootstrap drop-down list, which the data is binded dynamically from SQL Server's Management Studio table. So let's write the coding part. Switch over to the coding part, stop debugging. So first let's add one navigation link. In the project, notice the shared folder, expand that one. In the shared folder, there is nav menu.razor page, open that one. Here you can find the default list items, home, counter and fetch data. So let's add one more list item, which is a Bootstrap drop-down list, and the fetch data, the href name I'm changing to Bootstrap drop-down list. So after adding the navigation link in this razor component, next we require one new razor component, which I am adding in this pages folder. Select the pages folder, right click the mouse, add, and selecting the razor component. And the razor component name is Bootstrap drop-down list. Enter. And here we got our Bootstrap DDL razor component. Now when a user clicks this Bootstrap DDL, the link, I want to render this razor component. So let's give some page directory, page between double quotes, / I am adding this href name Bootstrap DDL. Copy that one and paste here. That's it. Now after that, when we are dealing with a particular databases, we require those database packages in our application. Here we are using the SQL Server Management Studio. So we require the SQL Server DDL packages. Let's install that one first. Before installing, notice the dependencies folder. Let me expand that one. If you notice in this dependencies folder, there is no any packages folder. So let's install the necessary packages for our application. Select the application name, right click the mouse and select manage Nugget packages. From that, select the browse and search for entity framework, Microsoft.entity framework. Let's type Microsoft.entity framework code. And this is the package I want to install. I have selected that one, click install. Okay, let's accept the license. And here we got a symbol here, which means this package is installed successfully. And also you can check in this dependencies folder in our application. We've got the packages folder. Let me expand that folder. See here, the Microsoft.entity framework code, the package is installed successfully. And the next package, I require the SQL Server package. Let's select that one and click install. Click OK, accept the license. And here we got the SQL Server also. After that, I am selecting the tools package because I am using entity framework core. Click install. OK, accept the license. That's it. Here the tools package is also installed successfully. Let's minimize this packages folder as well as dependencies. Now we don't require this Nugget package window. Let me close this Nugget package. Now the next step, we require one class to write the properties. So I'm creating a class in this data folder. Select the data folder, right click the mouse, add, select class, and the class name is a country class. Here we got our country class. Now this country class contains only properties, which means this class is a POCO class. First let's add the key attribute. It's a key attribute. So once we add the key attribute, notice we got one new namespace is added to our class, which is a system.componentModel.data annotations. After that, let's create the property prop int integer type. First one is a CID. In our table we have two columns, CID and CNAME. So I require two columns. The second column is for the CNAME, which is a country name. So after adding the properties in this country class, next we require the DB context class. For that we require one more class. In the same data folder, I am adding one more class. Right click the mouse, go to add and select class. And the class name is the application DB context.csv. And here we got our application DB context class. Now in this application DB context class, I am inheriting the DB context. So to inheriting, we need to prefix with colon DB context. The DB context class belongs to the Microsoft.entity framework code package. So let's install that namespace Microsoft.entity framework code. Now we can access the DB context class. After that, let's create the constructor of this class. Now inside this constructor, I'm adding DB context options. Inside this options, I'm adding application DB context, the class name, and options colon base options. After that, I'm adding one more property for my table name, prop dbset, and dbset. In the dbset, I'm adding the entity types we are getting from this country class. So let's add the country class, and the table name is a country. This table name we need to add. C is capital here. That's it. And now the next step, we require the SQL Server connection string. To get the proper connection string of the SQL Server, notice there is a Server Explorer. Open that one. In the Server Explorer, there is a data connections folder. Right click the mouse, add connection. My SQL server name is this one, desktop. Let's add that one, desktop hyphen PBUDEOM. After that, I'm adding the database name from this server, which is a Charan. Test connection is succeeded. Okay. And here the Charan database is added successfully. And also notice in the properties there is a connection string property which contains our data source. Let's copy the data source, which is our connection string. We need to add the data source in our project in this app settings.json file. So let's open that file. Here let's add connection strings colon curly brackets. Let's close the comma because it's a JSON file. Now let's give the name of this connection is my connection colon between double quotes. So I'm adding my data source which I have copied. So after adding the connection string in this app settings.json file, now we need to inject this connection string in the startup.cs file. So open startup.cs file, add using Microsoft.entity framework code. Then to add the service, notice the configure services. Here we have to add our services. Add DB context, application DB context, options colon options dot use SQL server method takes the configuration dot get connection string method. The get connection string method takes a string parameter which contains my connection string name, which is in the app settings.json file. This is my connection string name. Let's copy that one, my connection, and paste here and close with the colon. Next step, we require one service folder. So let's select the application name, right click the mouse, add new folder called services. In Blazor applications, everything the logic we write in the services only. So that's the reason I have added one services folder. In this services, I'm adding one more class. So select the services folder, right click the mouse, add class name, which is a country service. The class name is, and here we got our country service. First, let's import the necessary namespaces using. First, we require the data folder .data. Let's add here protector read only application DB context. Let's add the object, the variable name. After that, let's add the constructor CTOR, constructor of this class. Inside this constructor, I'm adding the application DB context class underscore DB variable underscore DB context is equals to underscore DB. After that, we'll add one function. In that function, we'll write the logic to fetch the records from the database. So here public list item list. Inside this list, the type of elements we're getting from the country class. So let's add the country class. So country object, and this function return underscore DB context dot, my class name is a country, my table name is country dot toList method. So DB context dot, we need to add the table name country dot toList method. That's it. It's a single line code to fetch the records from the database. After that, we need to call this service in this Blazor component which we have created, this Bootstrap DDL. In the code, first we need to import using bootstrap DDL.data, and also we require the bootstrap DDL.services and inherits and we need to add one component base. Inside this component base, I'm adding my service name is a country service. The service name is a country service. That's it. Then let's add a list item list. In this list, the type of elements we're getting from the country class. Create the object, COU object. Let's call the service here. For that, I'm adding one protector override void on initializing method. Let's delete this default line. Here we call the service COU object is equals to service dot. Notice here we got here the function name from this service, which is a country object. This function contains the actual logic to fetch the records. Now in the Bootstrap, here we need to add the Bootstrap. So let's visit the getbootstrap.com website. Getbootstrap.com website, and here the getbootstrap.com website. The Bootstrap is a free open source, so we don't require any license to use this software or tools, and the version I'm using 4.5. Get started and search for let's go for components. In the components we have the drop down, select that one, and the drop downs page we can find different varieties of drop downs. I want to add a simple drop down list, which is this one. Let's copy this one and paste here. Now the most important step is we need to add this country service in the startup.cs file. So we need to inject that service. First, let's add our service name using Bootstrap DDL Blazor.services. Then come to the configure services. In this function, we need to add the services. Services dot add scoped method. In this add scoped method, my service name is country service. That's it. Now let's run this application. We'll check the output. And here we got the new output. Notice we got the Bootstrap DDL. Let's click that one. And here we got our Bootstrap DDL Razor component. Notice here when I click this drop down list, see, menu is not opening. The reason, if you check in our project, by default inside the www root folder, let me open the CSS file. The Bootstrap themes and CSS files are installed automatically when I create this project, but the JS files are not included. So to get the JS files, again switch over to the bootstrap.com, go to home, get started. Here if you can find the JS, the CDN links, just copy these 3 CDN script links, switch over to the coding part. Now to add those links, the CDN links, in the pages folder there is a underscore host.cshtml. Open that one. Here we need to add the CDN links. So after adding this jQuery CDN links of the Bootstrap, now let's run this application again. Click Bootstrap DDL. Here we got the drop down button. Let's click that one. See now it's the drop down list is working properly. Now let's modify this drop down list according to our requirement. Switch up. Before that, let's stop this one, debugging. Let's open the Razor page. Bootstrap DDL.razor. Here I'm changing first select country. Now after that, after the button control, notice the div tag. Inside this div we got the anchor links. So here let's add for each loop variable item in. I'm adding this COU object. Let's add the curly brackets. Let's copy this one, the hreflang, and paste here at item dot cname, the column name I want to add in this drop down list. Let's delete this default code which comes with the Bootstrap drop down list. That's it. We don't require to change anything. Let's run this application. And here we got the final output of our project. Notice the Bootstrap DDL. Let's click that one. So here we got the select country, the drop down list, Bootstrap drop down list. Inside this drop down list we have binded, populate the data India, USA, Australia, the country names from the SQL Server Management Studio table, the country table in this Bootstrap. That's it. In this video tutorial I have explained how to populate data into a Bootstrap drop down list in ASP.NET Core Blazor application.